If you guys are not picking up a rotisserie chicken at Costco or Sam's Club every time you go, you guys are missing out. These are only about $5. The work is all done for you pretty much. If you were just to eat it, it would be so delicious. Well, what I like to do is I bring one home, I eat a leg or two for our lunch, and then I take off all of the chicken and I put it in a food saver bag, or I just go ahead and just keep it in the fridge for right away use. But once we're done taking off all the chicken, you take the carcasses and you put them inside of a broiler pan. The broiler pan allows you to have to add so much water to it. So I'll take these, I got 2 chickens today. We will take the meat off, put the carcasses in a broiler pan, fill the broiler pan all the way up with water, add some onions, garlic, celery, some salt and pepper, and some carrots sometimes. Basically whatever vegetables you've got on hand. And then you can make your own homemade chicken stock. And it is delicious. And then you can can it or just use it right away. It usually makes about 6 to 8 quarts depending on how many carcasses I have and just how much vegetables I add in and stuff like that. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I just got home from Sam's, so I'm going to have a little piece. Probably I'll eat 2 legs, and then I will sit down and put on a show and just take off all of the meat. And that way I don't feel guilty for watching a show in the middle of the day, because I'm actually getting something done too. So we'll take off the meat and then we'll go today. Okay, I've got my little setup here. I had my lunch. I had some of the chicken legs, which was very delicious. I'm going to pull these apart. Oh, and I have my show and my beverage of choice today. So I'm going to pull these apart, put all of the chicken meat in one of these, and then I'm going to put all of the bones in another one. And then we'll just chug along and get all this meat taken apart. Okay, we got just about 3 quarts worth of meat that I'm going to chop up and we're going to freeze. Actually, I'm probably going to make a chicken pot pie tonight to put in the freezer. And then also we got quite a bit of the bones, carcass, extra meat that was stuck onto the bones, everything like that. So I'm going to go grab the big broiler pan and we're going to put this in there, and we're going to find some vegetables and we'll put those in there too, and then we're going to make some wonderful chicken stock. Okay, here is the it was about 3 quarts of carcasses, and then I also there was some celery that was getting a little bit old in my fridge. Then I put an onion and some cloves of garlic, and then there was also some carrots that were looking a little I wouldn't really want to just snack on them, so I put them in here. I'm just going to put this all on the roaster pan. Super simple. And with the carcasses, I just put everything in. I put in the skin and everything because the skin had a ton of seasoning on it from the rotisserie, from when they seasoned the rotisserie chicken. So I put the skin in as well. I know that the fat, I'm going to pressure can this stock once it's all done. We will have to cool it down so that the fat rises to the top, so we can easily scrape off the fat before we do it in the pressure canner. But I still want to have that flavor in there, so that's why I put that in there. I'm just gonna grab this and we're gonna fill it all the way up to the top, and we'll see how many quarts we get today. Normally I do 3 or 4 carcasses, so maybe I'll just leave it on for a little bit longer so that more of the flavor from the bones and the chicken can get in the stock. Okie doke, we have the broiler pan all filled up with water, almost completely full. I'm going to leave this on for at least 24 hours. We'll come check on it. It's 3 o'clock. No, that oven is off. It is 1 o'clock right now, so probably tomorrow night about 5 I'll come check on it Well, I'll check on it before that, but tomorrow night at 5 we'll probably take it out and then put it in the fridge so that we can scrape off all the fat, and then we will pressure can it. For right now, we're all done, and it just probably took me about 20 minutes is all to take off all the chicken and to get this started. And it's fairly simple and with simple ingredients, but it tastes delicious. It is the next day, and it's about 6 o'clock, and we're gonna open this up, and then I'm gonna turn it off actually. And then I'm going to strain it, and then we'll put it in the fridge. Oh, it smells so good. Then we'll put it in the fridge so that the fat can rise to the top, and then once the fat has risen to the top, then we can scrape off the fat and we can can it. Okay, this is the little setup I've got going here. I got a strainer, and then this is a 6-quart container, and I'm probably going to need more than this one, but we'll just see how far this one gets us. Okay, so from that whole electric roaster pan, we got about 8 quarts worth of broth, which will be awesome. So from here, you could either just use it right away, or you could freeze it, which would be very easy, but I'm going to can it. So in order to can it, we need to take off most of the fat that we can. Right now the fat is really incorporated into these, so we need to cool it, and when we cool it, the fat will rise to the top. You can already kind of see the fat is already starting to rise to the top, and there's a layer of fat down here, and the broth is down here. So when we cool that, there will become a more distinct layer of fat. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in the fridge right now, and we'll come back in the morning and see how much that fat has solidified. Okay, it is the next morning. It is 9:30 in the morning, and so those have been in the fridge overnight. They did create the film of fat on the top that we're going to scrape off. And then once that fat is scraped off, we need to reheat this broth so that it can go into the pressure canner. Okay, we've got our broth here, a little container here. I'm going to try to scrape off this fat as best as I can. Usually when I make this, there's actually a more fat than this, so it creates like a little, kind of like a little puck. It's not that hard to take it off when it's all super solidified like that, but we're just gonna do it like this. And it's okay if there's a little left. You're never gonna get it all, but if we can get the majority, then that's good. I have this large pot in here that I'm going to attempt to gracefully pour this broth into. And put it in the sink because I tend to make a mess. So that's about 4 quarts. I'm going to pour a little bit of the other one in here too, because our pressure canner can take up to 5 quarts worth. We will put this on the stove, and then we will get the pressure canner and jars ready. Here we've got our pressure canner. This is the Presto Digital Pressure Canner. It is very nice. It is a little bit of an investment, but for me it's really worth it because I don't do big batch canning very often, and if I do, then I just borrow my mom's stuff. But this is more practical for me because I can just press the buttons, walk away, and I don't really have to worry about it. So when you plug it in, it's going to give you the option to pressure can or water bath can. We're going to pressure can this chicken broth, and you just press that. For our area, I live in northern Utah, the time is 25 minutes that we're going to pressure can it. We're going to put our jars in. This will warm your jars for you so that you have warm jars and warm broth. If you put in cold jars and warm broth, then your jars will most likely crack, and then you won't have, anyways, you'll have a big mess. None of them will seal, and all of your work will go to waste. So we want warm jars, warm broth, and that's how we do it, is we're just gonna fill up these jars and put them in there, and it'll warm it up for us. First, I'm going to fill up the pressure canner. There's a little line in the pot that tells me where to fill it. It's about 2.5 inches high. Okay, I've got it filled up to that line. Now I'm just gonna fill up the jars. Okay, so now I have the jars in the Presto canner. I'm going to put the lid on, if I can find the lid. And put it to lock. I'm going to turn it, and I don't have the regulator on right now. I'm just going to press this main button, and now it's warming those jars. It will beep when the jars are all warmed up, and by the time the jars are warmed up, then our broth will most likely be all ready to be put in those jars. Oh, and I forgot, I should have put vinegar out. I'm going to get vinegar so that the outside of the jars don't get all cloudy. But we can add that to this hot water that's in here after the jars are warm. That's not a problem. This just beeped at me to let me know that the jars are warm. It now says fill jars. Our broth is nice and hot. I'm actually going to turn the temperature off. I'm going to open this up. And how I'm going to do it is I'm going to empty one jar, put hot broth in it right away, and then I'm going to put a lid on it and then put it back in there before I do another one, just to try and minimize the heat that I'm losing. Temporarily put this kind of back on there so those stay warm. I forgot the headspace. Is 1 inch, which it could probably use just a tad more. It's okay. I have vinegar on this just to wipe off any debris that there is on there. If I got any grease, just do it finger tight, and we'll grab another one. Ooh, and while that's open, I'm going to put some vinegar in it to prevent the cloudiness of the jars when they're in there. Wiping the rim with the vinegar cloth that I have. My mom has a harvest right, which I really would love to have a harvest right freeze dryer, but that's not in our budget right now. So I use hers when she's not using it. And my very favorite way to preserve chicken broth is to freeze dry it. It makes it so simple. I have just a jar like this. It was about the same, so it was about 8 quarts of broth, and I freeze dried it, and then it turned into about this much worth of powder. And so if something calls for chicken broth, all I can do is just dump out some in there, add a little bit of water, and there's our chicken broth. And it takes up so much less space. This whole thing, it would have been 8 cups. This whole jar would have filled 8 quarts worth of broth. But because I freeze dried it, it just took all the water out and left all the flavor, and then I just add the water back in later. Okay, so we are going to close this up. See, like, anyways, you probably can't hear it, but my Alexa is going off telling me to go pick up my son from school. So this is perfect because I don't have to watch it. So the jars are filled. I'm just going to press continue. And now it's heating up. And when it's all done heating up and it has vented for about 10 minutes, I'm going to put this regulator on. And in that time, I can go pick my kids up from school and there won't be a problem. So we'll come back when we have to put that regulator on. Okay, so it says put regulator on. All we're gonna do is put it on to can, press go. And then it's good for 25 minutes. After 25 minutes, it's just going to naturally release. Ooh, that's hot, I shouldn't have touched that. It's just going to naturally release. So if you were going to go somewhere, you could just leave it. And then when it's all done, it will tell you that it's all done. So it's just as easy as that. Okay, the pressure canner now says that it's done. So we are going to open this up. Some people say you need to crack the lid a little bit to get some steam out. Then wait a minute. Well, there's steam coming out right there, if you can see it. But just so that there's not so big of a shock when you open it up. So now we have 5 quarts of canned chicken stock. I'm just going to very gently take these out and put them over here. They have been done for a little bit, so I'm not too concerned about taking them out and having them not seal or anything like that. But now I get to do it with one more batch, and then we will be done with this project. Thanks for joining me today and over the last couple of days as we took our rotisserie chicken and we made it into, not only we pulled it off the bones, but we made it into chicken broth. Our last batch is going right now, and once it's done, I will set them out here to cool off for 24 hours. And when that's done, we can just put it in our pantry and then use it at our convenience, and that is so nice. If I had space in my mom's harvest right now, I would actually put all of this in the freeze dryer because that is my preferred way to store chicken broth, because it is so easy to just grab and dump some of those chicken broth, that chicken broth powder into the dish and then just pour water in at, it just makes it so convenient. But anyways, thank you so much. If you would consider liking and subscribing and sharing with your friends if you enjoyed it, that would help me a lot, and I hope that you have a great day.